Welcome to the Sharkpreneur podcast with Kevin Harrington and Seth Greene. Kevin Harrington is the inventor of the infomercial, one of the original sharks from the hit TV show Shark Tank, and has generated over $5 billion in TV and digital direct response sales. Seth Greene is the world's first trusted authority on cutting-edge direct response marketing, a best-selling author, and the only 3-time Marketer of the Year nominee. On the podcast, Kevin and Seth interview sharkpreneurs who share straight talk on what it takes to explode your business.
49 faces looked to him in triumph. Over the last 12 months, they had each taken turns and promoted his business for a week at a time, driving over $987,342 in revenue. What if you had a network of 50 centers of influence who promoted your business every week for a year? Grab your copy of the #1 Amazon best-selling book, The Ultimate Guide to Growing Your Business with a Podcast, at 33% off the Amazon price by going to ultimatepodcastbook.com. Again, that website for 33% off the Amazon price is ultimatepodcastbook.com. Welcome to the podcast. This is your host, Seth Greene. Today, I've got the good fortune to be with Ryan Rottman and Sean O'Brien from athleteagent.com. Ryan, Sean, thanks so much for joining us.
Appreciate it. Very excited to be here.
Let's go back in time a little bit. How did you guys get started?
So I'm originally from Texas. Used to play golf. Realized I was good, but not great, and ended up getting into business. And how I ended up in Los Angeles as an actor, I have no idea, but I did. And I did that for 22 years. And in that time, I used IMDb, Internet Movie Database. It was my business card, right? Every time I stepped into an audition room, the casting director would have my IMDb page pulled up and ask me about my filmography. And I did a show called 90210. Some producers from the Hallmark Channel saw me on that, looked at my IMDb Pro, saw who my agent was, reached out. And since then, I've done, almost 7 or 9 Hallmark films. And had that information not been correct, they would have just gone to the next person on the list. I would have missed out on that income and those jobs. So it was very beneficial for me in my career. I've been very fortunate to call Aaron Rodgers one of my closest friends for a very long time now. And getting to know him and a lot of the people in the sports world, I really got an insight into how fragmented it was, especially on the representation side and endorsement side. And so him and I were at dinner one night, and I said, essentially, I'd like to create an IMDb for athletes. He said, "Who have you told?" I said, "A couple of buddies." He said, "Don't tell anyone else. We're the guys to do this. There's a white space for it, and it is fragmented." So that's what we did. And now the product that you see before you, we have, I believe, 9 sports on there. NFL, MLB, NBA, NHL, MLS, PGA, LPGA, Live, and F1. So very excited to have that in our first female sport. And really just Aaron always said we didn't build this for the 1% of athletes, the Aaron Rodgers of the world, but the other 99% of athletes that can get deal flow, even though we are still connecting the top 1%. And in that journey, I really, you learn a lot about yourself doing a startup. And I learned I'd gotten it to a point and really was having trouble figuring out the external tech team versus internal. And one of our investors who runs a company called Grow, one of the largest SEO companies in Los Angeles, connected Sean and I and said, "He's the guy for you. He's got a lot of background in this. I've had a conversation with him. He understands the need for something like this." And so he connected us, and Sean's come in and taken over CEO and been at the helm to help really drive the revenue and bring tech in-house, which he's done. And it's been fantastic.
Yeah, so Seth, I acutely understood this problem for a couple reasons. I had started a company with actor Kevin Costner called Autio, AUTIO, basically a mobile app for anywhere you drive in the United States and now the world. It's going global. You hear like a 3-minute audio story of what you drive by, and it helped Kevin Costner and his team bring engineering in-house and build the whole engineering team for that mobile app, front end, back end, and stuff like that. So when Ryan kind of approached me with this idea, I immediately bought a subscription to IMDb Pro because as a consumer, you think of IMDb as just like where you look up a cast for a show, right? That's what most folks do. So I bought a Pro subscription, pulled up Kevin Costner's profile, and sure enough, here's like publicist, lawyer, agent, like basically everyone in my phone and in email contacts. And it was all accurate information. So I start pulling up Tom Cruise and I'm pulling up other profiles. I'm like, wow, they have their own little secret world here where it actually works. It's like their private LinkedIn, let's call it, right? That's paid. And so I was like, I had another background, or I had run another company called Modloft. I was CMO of Modloft. We're a two-time Inc. 5000 winner. So scaled that from like 25 million, nearly $100 million in a few years, and did that by giving away the furniture for free to celebrities. So I did like Paris Hilton's house. She'd post on social media to, tens of millions of folks once the project was done. Did Trey Young and the Atlanta Hawks, as well as like Meek Mill, the rapper. And ended up working mostly with athletes because they get traded, right? So they're furnishing 10,000 square foot homes and a bit larger all the time. Ended up working with like the president of Clutch, president brand strategy at Clutch Sports, and doing like half their roster. And then my name just kind of spread throughout the NBA and NFL and a lot of the leagues here in the United States. And what I learned through that was Ryan's absolutely correct that the sports industry is super fragmented. It's not as easy as one would think to get a hold of someone. Like even some of the top 1% are hard to track down. Sometimes the agents don't reply to emails. I mean, the business is, very insular, and it's sort of like a world built on trust, we'll call it, right? So you have a few problems, right? Like if you want to work with the linebacker for the Jets or something, tracking them down could be quite difficult. It might be a friend with a Gmail address from high school, as well as like even other folks like podcasters have told us, right? Like, booking guests, it's easier to book Dana White than say like a linebacker, right? So that's a problem. And then also when you build that network like I did in sports, you have 8 million people contacting you saying, hey, what's the email address or phone number for so and so? It creates a nightmare for a CMO like myself. And so, I immediately understood why something like this should exist. And so immediately wanted to jump on board and joined in September 2023.
Well, congratulations. You guys have obviously achieved a lot of success since then. What have been the things that have surprised you the most along the way in growing Athlete Agent?
It's funny because I had this thought. I was like listening and watching one of your videos that you did on targeting, and you brought a letter out. Can you hear me?
You got a little quiet there.
Um, you did a video on targeting about you opened a letter from AARP, right? And you're just it says hello friend, and you're like, I'm not even in this demographic of like, why am I being targeted for this? And it really made me think of like one of the things that I found so surprising about it is how broad our customer range is from the subscription, right? Like we thought it'd be a lot of CMOs, publicists, and it's gotten so much larger than that. From like we've had Coca-Cola subscribe, a lot of financial advisors, we have a lot of attorneys that are subscribing, and so that was something that just was unforeseen for me. We've also helped some players that got dropped out of the MLB. We've now put them connected with them minor league teams, and they've been put back in. So not only just helping being brands put together, but actually helping athletes continue their career.
As you get more and as Athlete Agent grows, do you worry about like too many people using the information and your athletes or agents complaining that they're getting 50 emails a day?
Yeah, so we have actually spoken to a lot of agents. Ryan did some homework on the acting side within IMDb Pro World, right? And saying, hey, like, is this an issue with spam or anything? And surprisingly, no, is what the answer what he got, right? And so on our side, we have talked to tons of agents and try to figure out like what's best for them, whether we want to just have the email address shown behind the paywall, of course, and people can just send email direct. That's how it functions now, or like a private inbox, sort of like a LinkedIn, right, where they can just have all their messages there and keep a thread maybe with the brands that are inquiring about their players and athletes, right? So we've actually, if I've asked 100, I've probably heard 50 say one way and 50 prefer the other. So what we're probably going to do is build an interface where they can toggle whether they want emails going direct to them or a private inbox. So one way or another, I think we're going to keep the agents happy, and we aim to make the agents love the platform, of course, and that's why we built this.
That's awesome. So what do they get out of it?
Increased deal flow, right? So if it's much easier to reach an athlete, for example, someone in the WNBA or wherever, right? Like, then your odds increase dramatically that your player is going to get those endorsement deals, and at least you get the chance to make the pitch to the brand, right? Because right now, if one agent or athlete is easier to contact than another, the reality is with the CMOs and CEOs and founders being super busy, like they're just going for the path of least resistance, right? And so, yeah, we think that's a huge benefit to them.
What are some of like the operational or technical challenges you've had to overcome to make this work?
Go ahead, Ryan.
really determining what the original, I'd say, customer wanted. I think, when you do a startup, you want to make sure that you want to have blinders on. So you're focusing on something pretty specific. And I think when we first started this, 'cause we just rebranded from OSDB, um, we went a little too wide, and that's one thing that Sean came in is really cut some of the fat off. We were trying to be too many things, and have media, have stats. We're just not going to contend in the stat space when you have companies like ESPN. Like even Apple couldn't really contend with them, and it cost a fortune. And so that's something that was a big hurdle for me in the initial process. And also, like I mentioned, was really bringing the tech in house. I didn't have the wherewithal to find the right people that, it's like going take your car to the car dealership, right? They can say your ramrod's broken, and you're like, all right, how much is that going to cost? Right? It's the same scenario for me with tech, and that's why Sean came in and really steered that ship, which I couldn't be happier with.
How has the business grown since you launched?
Yes, we debuted on CNBC a few weeks ago, right? We'll call it 3 weeks. Immediately saw a nice hockey stick in stride. So we're approaching a six-figure run rate already. We probably have over 100 paying customers, some of those Fortune 100. Ryan had alluded to some of the names before. And so, yeah, the growth's been tremendous. Now we have trouble keeping up with adding leagues, right? So in the beginning, we were loading all the data ourselves. We probably spent $2 million building this database, right? So that's sort of our mode. It's really expensive business to start. But now we have like agents emailing us saying, "Hey, add my roster." Like giving us, they're like, "Hey, what format do you want it in?" And we can just tell them how to set up the columns and import it to the database. So agencies are approaching us, and so we're trying to keep up with that demand. And leagues as well, asking us to add them. So we're pacing currently at like 3 to 4 leagues a month. And so we hope to be at like 50 leagues worldwide by the end of next year. So yeah, it's getting easier, but yeah, the challenge is keeping up with the demand actually from the leagues around the world.
Well, that's an incredibly great problem to have. How do you, and maybe this was more of an issue when you started, how do you build trust with athletes or agents who, again, get pitched all the time and everybody wants to talk to them?
Yeah, Ryan.
Yeah, I think a big thing that we've really implemented in this is validity. Just making sure that every email address that we have is valid, right? We run them through two different APIs. So we want to make sure that, if you are a paying customer or you're the agent, that we are presenting the correct information. And if they email us and say, "Would you put my assistant's email on as opposed to mine?" Or would you update to this? We make sure we do that. And this is something that we are fortunate enough to have two of the largest agents in the world as investors, Scott Boras being one of them, baseball agent. And they came to us and said, "Listen, we want to use your information for an EPK, electronic press kit, so we can just send that out instead of having to build it ourselves." So we have their help, their direction of like how that we can help them. And again, like Aaron and I said, we really just wanted to help athletes and help agents get more deal flow, generate more income for them. And so that was a big part of it.
Has NIL affected your potential at all?
Yeah, so NIL market, we've done extensive research on that, right? We have been approached by a lot of folks. Investors often ask that, right? We're closing the seed round right now. And so NIL, it's a heavy lift because 93% of NIL dollars flow through FBS D1 football, we'll call it. So about 130 teams roughly there. The player cap is around 105 now. They raised that roster cap. So you're talking 13,000 players in just football alone. There's 510,000 D1 athletes. But since 93% of the dollars flow through football, just adding that one sport would really take us a long way in terms of brand deal flow, right? Of course. So it's something on the radar. We think probably next year is realistic for that. If we do a football and FBS type college football play, it'll tie us up our data team for probably a month or two. Whereas right now, like Formula One, there's 10 teams. With Cadillac's new team, there'll be 11. So you're talking even with Cadillac, there's 22 drivers in the world who are an F1 driver. Like it's super light lift compared to 13,000. So every sport has different challenges, some much easier than others, we'll call it. Team sports are more challenging because players get traded. Obviously, in the NBA, there's a lot of action there. And individual sports much easier because they're sort of solo and independent. But yeah, I mean, I think football will be at some point. I think I see it more as an opportunity for us, and nobody's really conquered it in the way with a platform like we have. So we see it as a huge opportunity for next year.
Your passion is obvious. What do you guys like best about what you're doing?
Ryan, I'll let you take it first.
Oh man, I love sports so much that I love, just diving in and seeing the men and women behind the the court or the field, seeing how the tremendous things they're doing, how many investments they're doing, the cool charitable work they're doing. But it's also cool. Just, I told Sean this the other day, the type of people that we get to meet, right? We just, we do charity football games and just get to meet an incredible amount of athletes and hear their stories. And that's one of my favorite parts. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I never set out to work in sports, really. It wasn't on sort of like, this wasn't like an end goal I had when I came out of college, because you just think like, oh, that's a tough business to end up getting a job in, right? Like you probably have to cut your teeth, much like become an agent, and you have to start in the mailroom and all that jazz. So sports, I never sort of envisioned myself working in sports, but glad that I ended up here. It's really nice to work in an industry that you love, So I'm a sports fanatic, NFL in particular, and NBA. So I'm like calling out cover 2 defenses and zero blitz and stuff like that. So love this sport, love this industry, and love sports. And it's been great to like really learn the business of sports. So like Joe Pompliano, I read his newsletter, learning about all the ins and outs of how sports, the business of sports operates, and how revenue is derived from various aspects of it. So yeah, it's been a wild run here.
I would say it's funny when you're an actor, you don't care about meeting other actors, but all you want to do is meet cool athletes. It's what you can't do.
Have you figured out, I don't know if you have, I don't know if this is public information, do you have a way to like track the amount of deal flow that's gone through your platform?
Not right now. It may be something in the future that we do. Right now, we're sort of just connectors, right? So we just allow folks to find each other, and then what they do on their own and transact is up to them. We do not take a piece of any of the deals, I should state. So other platforms try to take that, and we don't take money out of the athlete's pocket. We don't take money out of the agent's pocket or the brands. So, at some point, maybe we do start tracking that data. There's a couple players in that space that all they do is track like endorsement deal sizes, which is very helpful for a brand. So if you're a CMO, you're going to do a shoe deal, you can look up what Curry did with Under Armour and stuff like that, and figure out what that deal size was. But currently, no, we don't track that.
Where do you think this is headed in the next, let's say, 5 years?
Yeah, I mean, we definitely want to go global with the leagues, and we want to get to all 50 by probably end of next year. And then we think there's some cool opportunities to layer stuff on top of it, in terms of additional features, and maybe even taking it from the B2B world and maybe into a little bit more B2C in the consumer play, like layering stuff up, because we have all the agents already, right? And once we've built that trust and sent them all this deal flow, like we think it'd be super easy to add things where fans can engage with the players, and the agent will get compensated, which is what they're after.
Well, you are in a fascinating business. Congratulations on the success, and obviously the being on TV certainly helps. Where can our viewers or listeners go to sign up and learn more?
Yeah, just athleteagent.com. Easy to subscribe right on the site. And yeah, I think that's the right place.
All right. Well, this has been Seth Greene with Sean O'Brien and Ryan Rottman from athleteagent.com. Sean, Ryan, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, everybody, for watching or listening. We will talk to you or see you next time.
Why do so many businesses struggle while others seem to explode overnight? Do you wish you had the secret to this type of exponential growth? Now, I've scaled more than 20 businesses to over $100 million, and it's not just luck. In my new book with Mark Tim, Mentor to Millions, you'll learn the repeatable framework I use in all my business ventures for massive success. Order at kevinmentor.com and get over $1,000 in bonuses. Head to kevinmentor.com.